All right, the biggest news on the day, you had non-farm payrolls, and then I kind of made that urgent video yesterday, even though markets were closed, about what was happening as far as rate cuts moving forward. It is now fully priced in on the day after the downside that there are going to be no rate cuts essentially, at least after March, right? Maybe April, June, give or take. That's the range that we're looking at right now. And so then today on top of this, you get really not great NFP, and really points to inflation might start surging once again. And it's basically everything the Fed, they don't want this not to happen, but this is the case potentially for inflation to start resurging. And this is what I mentioned as well. Like, there's a few things you can't control in the market right now beyond the Nasdaq of what we're looking at there. But it's what's happening with yields, and yields are going berserk. We talked about this in yesterday's video. You would see upside here on yields. The 10-year and the 30-year finding more buyers there as well. You saw TLT push down into lows that we haven't basically seen since 2023. That's the major concern right now. Okay. Now, that being said, what's surprising me is the reaction here. Okay. There's a big, you expect more, right? So if you follow me on Twitter, I kept saying the same thing over and over. You're ranging and sellers are not capitalizing. I recommend you follow if you're interested on Twitter, post my charts, viewpoints of the market, things along those lines. But keep you guys posted at all points of time. I've told you guys here, things you want to consider. Is this just a retrace back to the upside? Are we holding below 21,000? Are sellers going to take advantage? And as we end this week, you're holding still in your range. Like, this is the very big point, and we need to understand what's actually happening here, okay? And I posted on Twitter, so I just want to make sure that we're like covering the things that are important, right? And I want to go over things if you guys have questions on things that I might be posting, right? This week you had some of the worst information that could impact inflation, right? Non-farm payrolls sky high, like sky high. Unemployment rate's an issue, okay? It's way too low. The Fed not cutting rates again, at least until March, based on expectations. Maybe even later than that now. We had every bank besides, I think, Morgan Stanley come out and say that they expect them to wait until at least April, maybe even June, right? If you have all of this stuff happening and you have not broken your support yet, like, that's something that we have to think about. What will it take? And maybe we're waiting. Maybe, we're waiting for a full week to come back. Maybe, this was just the start of it. Those are all possibilities. But when I look at this chart, I have to say to myself, like, this is interesting to say the least, right? This is like, we're just sitting where we're at. Okay. Now, for me to get bearish, or at least short-term expecting more downside, seeing sellers take advantage, I obviously want to see us hold below 21,000 here on Nasdaq. Going into Qs. Key levels below 503. Again, your July highs. Going into SPY. The exact level we mentioned, go watch yesterday's video. 578.5. Get below. Hold below like 577. Those are things that we need to see take place, right? To see continuation. But we're just not right now. So going into next week, I'll be watching these levels like a hawk. And I'll make sure I have a video on Saturday or Sunday as well. Okay? So those are the big things as of right now that I'm watching. And I'll make sure I'm covering those and really hitting those home. I do want to say right now, though, guys, if you guys are interested, if you guys are looking for more education, you see me post here all the time. Again, you literally probably like every week. I post a lot of stuff and a lot of updates on my second YouTube channel. This is just Tyler Wilson OD, but it's all education, futures trading, how I trade, everything like that. So if you guys are looking for that, that is over here. I'm going to have a video going directly into Top Step, how to get into futures trading, the difference between futures and options. So if you're interested, that'll be posted around 4:30 today. So make sure you subscribe if you want. The link will be somewhere down below. Jordan also posts a lot as well. So if you guys are interested, make sure you check Jordan's channel out as well. Again, like, take advantage of what you can. We try to post a lot of this stuff and, make free content available for you guys as well. So that's where we're at right now. Now, what I do want to address, because the big question I saw someone ask me on Twitter is, Tyler, did you buy Apple yet? And typically I kind of gatekeep, I will say. But I'll tell you guys right now, I decided to buy some Apple. I didn't go crazy because I want to see a daily candle, to be honest. I want to see a real reaction here. But what I did see on the 4-hour, and again, I don't love the daily close. However, the daily candle isn't that bad for me. right? Good wick, you drop down to 233, bouncing back. I went leaps though. So I'm talking a year and a half out from where we're at. So I'm just going to tell you that. Discord has more information on that as well. Okay, the other part of this, again, I know I'm gonna get hate. I know I'm gonna get hate on videos, and people are just not gonna like the channel. So I get it. Like, there's gonna be people that are gonna come and just have hate, and that it is what it is. But I try to break things down just to my mentality, to just explain my thought process. And as I'm trading right now in this market, I want to be very clear. Me and Jordan are taking quick trades on the downside, quick trades on the upside. We are not trying to hold a lot of trades overnight and open up our risk. So today, AMD descending triangle below the 200 weekly. We were looking at that downside even at the open this morning, down as well. We looked at what was happening with Nasdaq on the downside. We traded that all day as well based off of our key levels. Also in our watch list, we make this every single morning about what we're looking for and how we're trading here, right? We went over AVGO, NVDA, Meta, respected all of our levels. 603, you bounce back into 617. Tesla, another major play here as well. 390 support, 399 resistance. Like, we go over all this in detail for everyone. So it's always there. We literally said pre-market, like AMD was the weakest stock out there. And I've been saying it here as well. But I want to highlight, I'm not just YOLOing, grabbing plays, especially without confirmation. Okay. And this is not to flex Discord or anything like that, but it's to show when you really have a plan, you stick to the plan, the results speak for themselves, right? So again, I encourage you guys, put in the work. And if you have questions here, we will answer your questions in the comments or on Twitter. So make sure you're taking advantage of that while you can. Sorry, there's like really loud noise outside. Okay. Now going into this, what we're watching for, obviously here, Nasdaq, we want to see us hold 21,000. You're doing it right now. ES, what's happening here? I want to see us hold, again, you're just holding your previous July high, 58, 53. This is exactly what you want right now, right? Now the question is if you break below this, we have like another 60 points of downside. That's a major concern, right? Going back down to like September lows, which was a huge concern. So the question is, can we continue to hold this, right? Dow, the weakest of all, you're breaking back down like September levels as well. I'd be targeting like 41.6, 41.7 on the Dow, but that's not really that big of a concern for me as of right now. So again, the biggest things I'm watching, equity-wise, NVIDIA, another great conversation here, coming back down into that major support we've talked about. You had a great bounce out of it, but guess what? You're right back to point A, right? Or yeah, you went from point A to point B, back to point A, right? And so you're back down here in that overall 1 hour, 2 hour demand zone, finding support once again, right? Despite a lot of these other equities finding weakness, NVIDIA is finding support there as well. Tesla, you're not even coming back in lows, potential higher low. Now, I'm not saying to buy these names right now, but what I am saying is that despite the overall weakness on the indexes, somehow these names are holding up very strong, like much stronger than where they were the first time we came into these levels, which is something you have to be thinking about. Meta really not even dipping. Now, Meta might be holding up due to the TikTok ban. We'll have to wait and see. But overall, what we're looking at, again, the bounce back on Apple, we want to see a hold above 237. That's really to get bullish. What we're looking for there in the after hours, you're finding buyers as well. But I don't have a short-term mentality on Apple. I told traders in Discord, like, if you want a short-term trade, you're trading back into like 242, maybe 245, but way riskier of a trade, dated stock, whatever you want to do, that's the play there. But that's my viewpoint of the market here, guys. And I don't want to, I don't just want to say, oh, I'm bullish, but I want to provide the logic and reasoning behind it as well, right? Is that despite the bad that's happening, you aren't seeing sellers take advantage. And that's something that has to get you wondering. That's something that has to get you thinking when you look at the broad market, is the reaction. And that's how we trade here as a whole, is it's all based on reactions. So if you're getting breaks from lows, if you're making a new low and then sellers don't step in, it should be a cautionary red flag if you're overly bearish, right? If you go to higher time frames and you're still, like we said, making higher highs and higher lows, then yeah, I don't know if you're just bearish yet. Now, granted, to make a lower low, you have to start breaking some big levels and you're far away off. So I don't think you could jump there yet. But in even the smaller trend here, like, you are holding up nonetheless. So again, the big points that I'm watching and what I'm looking at going into this week is I still think buyers are trying to hold you up. Now, that being said, below 21,000, I will, I'll be on my heels. I'll be a little bit more, okay, let's hit the brakes here. But we knew going into today, sellers would strike. The question was could they continue? Could they get follow through? And I don't think that they necessarily got the follow through that we thought, that even I thought they would. I thought for sure we're breaking below and holding below 21,000. You break 21,000, but you don't get the continuation, right? I posted here yesterday immediately when I saw that as well. I posted it on here from Twitter as well, right? That this was bad, that this was not good. This is not what we wanted to see. Like, you expected sellers to try to be aggressive here, and they just weren't, right? So again, right, I said last night, a bit shocked by the weakness of sellers on the Nasdaq. Non-farm could throw us right back up. Pretty wild, right? What's happening there? So again, make sure you're tapped in, make sure you're focused, but make sure you're not getting overly confident in one direction. That's the biggest thing that I will say. Again, people are like, well, you're all full bull. Guys, I tell you what I buy. I tell you what I sell. And again, especially in longer dated positions, people in Discord, you see what we're in, right? There's full transparency there, right? Can't hide that. If we post it, we don't delete it. We never delete anything. So you see the good, you see the bad, you see the ugly. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe, actually, I'll see you on Sunday. Have a good one, traders.